Hello, and welcome to EdTech Bytes. We're cooking up some great information for you today, so grab a snack and settle in. Just a few quick notes before we get started. This session is being recorded and will be made available for later viewing within a week of the session. We'll be running this like a webinar style with presentation followed by Q&A at the end. Please hold all questions until that time. After the session, we'll be sending out an email with a link to the recording and any relevant resources. These materials will also be posted on our website. So I know that was a lot to digest, but now let's really sink our teeth into today's EdTech Bytes topic, which is creating a quiz in Google Forms. The first thing you want to do when doing Google Forms is to find a place for it in your drive. So I'm going to put my quiz in this folder. And to do that, we go to New, and then we go to Google Forms, and then we go to Blank Quiz. Now, the difference between a quiz and a form is that there are some settings that are automatically selected when you make it a quiz that are not selected when you make it a form. So let's give our form a title. I'm going to call this EdTech Bytes Quiz. And when you do that, and then you left click up here, it should transfer that title up to this area. So the first thing we're going to do is go to settings. So you can see this has already been made a quiz. Right now I'm going to change this because I don't want the quiz answers released before everyone has taken the quiz. So I'm going to change this to later after manual review. Otherwise, it will release the scores to the students right after they finish it. I would turn on locked mode, but there's a feature I want to show you that requires this to be turned off. But for students, you would want to turn this on. This is what happens when you have missed questions, correct answers, and point values. I'm going to leave all of these on. And the default question point value is going to be 1. I'm just going to leave that. In the responses tab, we have collecting email addresses. You want verified. You don't want the kids to put it in because they'll put it in wrong. And you don't want to not collect because then if something goes wrong, you won't know whose it is, or they could type in someone else's name. So you want everyone to have a verified email address. For a quiz, this send responders a copy of their response is turned off, as is allow response editing. And we are going to restrict it to users in APS and limit it to 1 response. If you want kids to retake this quiz later, you can turn this off. In the presentation mode, we have the show progress bar, which I'm going to turn on. The shuffle question order, I'm going to leave off. The confirmation message is your response has been recorded, and I'm just going to leave it like that, but you can edit it and save it however you want. Show link to submit another response is off. And we're not going to share the results summary with kids because then we're giving information to them that they shouldn't have. And we're going to leave this off because we don't want to disable autosave for all respondents. For the form defaults, we're collecting email addresses. And we're making questions required by default. And that is one of the settings that you get when you choose quiz instead of form. So all the questions will be required. So let's go ahead and add some questions to this form. The first question is given to you. And so you can add, what I would do is have last name, first name, period, all of those that you want to have at the beginning of it. So we have last name, and you can see that it changed from multiple choice to short answer. So it predicted what I wanted to have. We're going to have to go in here and make this one worth 0 points, or it will affect the outcome of the percentages and all of that. And then we hit done. We can also duplicate a question and have it be the same. And now it kept that it's 0 points, it kept the name, and it kept short answer. So you can duplicate. Otherwise, you go to that add button, and we're going to go period. And I'm going to make period a drop down. And it tells me, it predicts what I want here. And so I'm going to say add all, and then I'm going to change this to drop down. When you click the eyeball button, preview mode comes up. And this is what the quiz looks like to students. So they record their email, they put in their last name, and then they put in their first name. You can test it out. And this is what a drop-down looks like. And then you would submit it. I'm not submitting right now because it's not done. So I'm going to close this out and go back to our other screen. Now I'm going to add another section. The thing about adding sections is that it chunks out the information for kids because it only shows them one section of questions at a time. So depending on what you want to do, you can either make your quiz in sections so that they only see one section at a time, or you can have all of the questions on one page. That will be up to you and your students' discretion, whatever they like. I would ask them what they like, or if they need to read the whole quiz first, then that would be one way that they could do that, is to have it all in one section. I'm going to make this section multiple choice. And add a question. So we're going to do a little vocab quiz here. We're going to do down, not across, together, and beyond. You can add more options right here, like just keep adding them, and you can also delete them by pushing the X right here. Then we want to put our answer key. So we go down, it's going to be 1 point. This add answer feedback is where you can add feedback for the incorrect and correct answers. But for our incorrect answer, we're just going to put DE means down. I can also search for a YouTube video. And I could plug a YouTube video in. And then the kids would be able to watch the video when they get their answers back. And so then you're providing all of that feedback and that remediation, but you're not doing it in person. You're letting YouTube do it. So that's pretty cool. So that's multiple choice. The next question I'm going to add is going to be a matching question. And to use matching, it is going to be a multiple choice grid. So we want to use the multiple choice grid. And what this is it has several rows, and then you match each row to a column on the right. So we're going to go DE, extra, and then you put the answers here, and I'm going to do them in alphabetical order. And then we're going to do our answer key. They're all worth 1 point, each one. So this is worth a maximum of 3 points. And then let me show you what this looks like for the kiddos. So we have our multiple choice here with our down, together, beyond. And this is our matching. You can add more options here, and the kids would have to scroll to the right. I would recommend not adding more than 5 at a time so that they can see all the options together on one screen. So we go down, beyond, together. And then we would submit it, but we're not going to. We're going to come back to our quiz. So that would be how you would do matching. You can also do a short answer. So if a ship circumnavigates the globe, what is it doing? And we're going to make this a short answer. We're going to make this 3 points. We're going to put it sails around the world. Now, if the student doesn't put this exact response in, it will count it wrong. So you need to go back when we're grading it and grade each one of these one at a time before you release the scores. And I'm going to show you how to do that. So that's short answer. The other kind you can have is a paragraph. And the difference between short answer and paragraph is that when you're typing a paragraph, you can see your whole answer. And when you are doing a short answer, all you can see is the one line. So let me show you what that looks like. So here they would type in their short answer. So you can see how it moves and you can't see the beginning. With an essay, you can type several lines and ideas into one place, and it will show you all of your work at once by creating a new line. So you can see the difference between the two of these question types right here. So we're going to go back to our quiz. There are several other kinds of question types. You might want to include a drop down or a scale or a rating, but maybe not on a quiz. And you don't want to do check boxes because if they don't check the exact boxes, it'll be wrong. So you want to use a multiple choice grid. You can also add a date section and a time section also. So those are the different question types. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is how to share this with your kids. So you would go to send, then you hit the link button and the link shows up, and you copy the link and then you paste the link in Google Classroom or wherever you communicate with your students. And then they will be shown the link to take the quiz, and then that's how you collect the data. The next thing I'd like to show you is what happens after the kids take the quiz. So here's a quiz that I made my colleagues take. And what you would do is you would go to responses, and there are 3 different ways you can look at responses. There's summary, question, and individual. So this is the summary of all of the responses. This tells us who took the quiz and how they responded to each question. And then this will tally up what the most popular scores were. So this will tell you, this was a drop down, and so it'll tell you yes and no and how many people put each one. This was a multiple choice, and so it tells me how many people picked each one. This kind of information is okay to share with students, and you can copy these charts and put them into PowerPoint slides or a document or whatever. If you want to share this information and data with the kids, you can copy all of these charts like that. So here's the short answer. They all put different answers for the short answer. I didn't make them write a paragraph this time. You can also look at the data by each question, which I don't use very often, but here's the questions and the responses that they had and how many people had those responses. Then you go to individual, and this is where you're going to score the short answer. So these are all worth 0 because it's just name and period. These are all worth 1. These were the multiple choice. This was the matching. This one they got wrong. Those they got wrong. All right, here are the short answers. So you can see here, I have the option to give and take points away. So here, you can decide how many points to give each person. And you want to do this before you release the scores. So you would score each one. So that's one individual. Then we come up here, we click save, we come up here and we go to the next person, and then the next person gets displayed. And we can come down and give them points or not. So that's how you score individual responses. When the scores are done, you go release score, and then it's going to tell you, it's going to email all of the respondents, or you can choose who to email with it'll give them, depending on how you've set it up, it'll give them the correct answers and how many they missed and the feedback that you left. So then I'm going to hit send emails and release. And then all of the students will get an email that has all that information in it with their score. The next thing you're going to do is create a sheet with all of this information in it. We go to the sheet, it says view in sheets, and this is what comes up. So here, I've already organized this sheet, but you can see I have the kids' emails and the date and the time that they took it. I have their scores, I have their names, I have their period, and then this is where the questions start. And I have all of their answers. So if you'd rather score these like this and add points to their total, you can do that. You don't have to score them in forms, but then their scores will be inaccurate when you email them. So you can see everybody's score here. To organize this way, by period and last name, so it's easier to put into the gradebook, what you do is you click in this upper left-hand corner, then you go to data, then you go to sort range, then you go to advanced, and here we're going to sort by column F first, then by column D, then by column C or E. And it'll sort it so that my periods are in line, my last names are in line, and so it makes it easier to put into a grade sheet. And that is pretty much it. That's how you give a quiz in forms. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. We'd be happy to come work with you and train you and help you to make your first form. You can get us on Let's Talk, or you can get us at the email address edtech@aps.edu. That is all for this webinar, and thank you for coming to EdTech Bytes.